Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where today we're going to talk about the Games Workshop price increase that is coming in October 2025. Probably 3 months, 4 months maybe later than I was expecting it, but I don't think this surprised anyone. I want to talk about this, and this is why the camera's on, the lights are on. I'm going to show you the email, I'm going to have a quick look over the Games Workshop site, and we'll just put this into practice a little bit as well. Nobody's surprised by this, and there's many different trains of thought that you can take. Some will be wildly to the left, some will be wildly to the right. My stance is probably somewhere in the middle, but business-wise, I understand that businesses need to up their prices. There's a massive demand for their products, so why would they not charge customers more? Games Workshop have had some pretty good years recently. Their share price has fluctuated a little bit, but generally it's been on the up for the last 5 years, and those shareholders want a return in their investment. Basically, that's why this price, from what I can see, that's why this price rise is coming in. But this came through on an email Saturday, the 30th of August, probably about 5 PM, so later on in the day. This is the day that Tomb World, the new Kill Team expansion, released at an increased cost to all of the other boxes, and sold out very quickly. Lots of people couldn't get their hands on it because scalpers got hold of it, put them on eBay, whatever. But also just generally Games Workshop don't make enough product with a demand. They like doing that, they love a FOMO box. But in a year where we have seen, while they haven't broadcast it and they haven't really pointed it out in any way like this, we have seen price increases this year. Stealth increases. Stealth increases to army boxes, stealth increases to special edition army box. The Space Wolves one, I'm pretty sure, was £5, maybe £10 more than a similar type box that would have been released last year, post July 2024 price increase. The new Kill Team box was £5, potentially even £10 more than the Hivestorm box would have been. So it isn't like we haven't already seen price increases this year. But this time they're actually broadcasting it. And they're broadcasting it in a very disingenuous way, I'm going to be honest, because I just find this ridiculous. This is an email that came through on the Saturday. And I'll run through it and then we'll talk about the dates and then we'll talk about what's missing in this announcement. And then we'll just take a look at a couple of prices and see what this around 4% increase is going to be to affect you using or buying products through Warhammer directly. So, a quick note on prices. From the 6th of October 2025, some prices in Warhammer stores and on Warhammer.com will be changing. Some prices, I would argue a lot of prices. On average, prices will rise by about 4%, but the exact amount will vary by product. Some will change a little more, some a little less. So they're already not being very specific with it, which is their usual wording with this stuff, in all honesty. The prices of many products, including paints, sprays, and paint sets, aren't changing at all. So your Citadel paints, your Citadel primers, and your paint sets, if you buy those with the models. I think it's the ones with the plastic models as well. You know, you get like 3 Skaven, 3 Space Marine, whatever, 3 Stormcast, and then the paint set to paint them in a certain chapter colour. I assume that's counted as a paint set, but I don't actually know. But they're not changing at all. So basically, your Citadel paints, your cheaper stuff, they're going to stay at, I think they're about £2.50, £2.75 in the UK for a little pot of Citadel paint. They go on to say, we're sharing this now, so you've got time to make any purchases you've been planning at today's prices. And to be fair to them, they have given you about 6 weeks. So, while their method of communication is stealthy, because it is an email to people who are subscribed to their newsletter, there is nothing at time of recording on Warcom, and just for reference, it is almost 10 on Wednesday the 3rd of September. So they have been in the office for 2 days They could have thrown an article up explaining this a bit better, but they haven't. Surprise, surprise. So there's a couple of different reasons for this. One, their profits have been jumping up year on year on year. They had another one of their best years ever when their accounts went in or were released a few months ago. I haven't gone through them. I'm not an accountant. I don't do forensic accounting. I wouldn't know what to look at. But generally, Warhammer stock is high. Their licensing deals are making them a lot of money. They have an ongoing deal with Amazon that we haven't seen any fruit of. But it is coming. We know that Henry Cavill is making something Warhammer related. We know that Space Marine 2 has sold more than 7 million units in the last, 12 months. It came out last September, didn't it? So again, probably pushing 8 million units at this point. It was incredibly well received. It maybe has dropped off a little bit recently, but it has sold really well for something as niche as Warhammer 40,000. The brand of Warhammer, and specifically Warhammer 40,000, is continuously on the increase. It has had a massive resurgence. And with that, prices have increased and increased and increased. Since the pandemic, since this resurgence, there's been a price increase of around 4% every year. Now, this reads like a global price increase. I'm obviously in the UK, I'm going to be talking about UK prices. Your prices will vary. There may even be some percentage variation in your country. They didn't increase their prices when a lot of places increased their prices for American trading with Trump's tariffs and things, and I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to get political. It's something that happened, and companies, manufacturers, and certain ways of manufacturing were heavily taxed. Games Workshop didn't increase their prices at that point when they could have done, and they, as far as I'm aware, haven't increased their prices or haven't announced a price increase in the American market. So maybe this is to give them the benefit of the doubt. To counter that, maybe they're going to set up a couple of factories in America, and this increase is going to pay for that to just solidify their market in America. Hopefully, if you are not distributing from the UK to America and you have factories out there, that will bring the price down in America. You're not sending the product that far, so you can make more for Europe, Australia, and the UK. Maybe bring the price down because your distribution is less. None of this is going to happen. The prices aren't going to drop. They're going up, on average, 4%. So let's look at some products, right? Because as you can probably tell, honestly, and I cover this stuff, I buy Warhammer stuff. My breaking point for buying directly through Warhammer and their Warhammer stores, and it's unfortunate because a good friend of mine is the manager at my local Warhammer store, and I'd love to support him more. I support him where I can. But their prices are too much when you can go elsewhere and get generous discounts. He's a good friend of mine, and I do feel bad that I can't support him more. But the last price increase, June, July, I think it was, 2024, just priced me out of buying directly from them. It got silly in my eyes. And we're going to go through a few things here. So as you can see there, the brand new combat patrol for the Salamanders, and all combat patrols for 40k. They're £100 through Games Workshop. So 4%, because we're going to go on average. That 4% increase is going to put it at £104. Bit of an odd number, isn't it, 104? Maybe it'll be 105, because it just sounds better. Maybe it'll be 104. Give them the benefit of the doubt. £4 on a product that costs £100, it isn't that much of an increase, is it? But I think that we've hit a problem, and I hit this last year, and I think a lot of people will be hitting this point with this increase from the 6th of October. At what point is too expensive genuinely too expensive? In the UK, there is a cost of living crisis. Money isn't going as far as it used to, for various reasons. Again, I'm not getting political, and I think it's the same the world over. Honestly, there just isn't as much disposable income. What's the first things that you cut? you're obviously going to cut out your food, right? Maybe you'll stop paying your rent or your mortgage. No, the first thing that you cut is your hobby, which arguably is just as important as food, drink, paying your rent. For a lot of people, this hobby, buying, building, painting, playing, it gives them that break from the norm. It lets them escape whatever's going on in their world. It gives them the time to just come down from the very real stresses of life. I'm the same. I suffer with my mental health. I have for, 2 decades now. And it's, some good days, some bad days. And honestly, when I sit there building a Space Marine, and this is the key thing, I think, with Warhammer. There's not a lot of companies that do multi-part kits as good as Games Workshop do them. And Games Workshop have been doing them to a very good standard for a very long time. There is just a joy in kit bashing, in just generally building, in creating these characterful poses, these characterful units. That for me is a solid release. I don't get that from any other company's product. I love Mantic Games with their Halo Flashpoint game. As a game, it's incredible. Their models are all single piece. I'm going to say 3D printed. I don't know the actual term. Beautifully detailed. The detail is probably as good as 40k Space Marine character detail, if you're going to compare them. The miniatures, when painted, look just as good. But you don't build them. They're already just that single piece, single pose, limited customizable. You can cut them up and do what you want. But it's not the same as having so many options on a sprue and individualizing these models, these characters, units. And as you know me, kit bashing is a huge part of my hobby and something that I love doing. I've done videos on them and I hope to do more in the future. So Games Workshop has me here. I mean, a combat patrol for the Blood Angels is, 17 miniatures? It's £100. It's going up to approximately £104. 17 miniatures. Let's not look at the points that it's going to cost, because there is probably, I don't know what Sanguinary Guard is, let's call them about 90 points for a unit of 3, 180 for a unit of 6. Throw in a captain, let's call it another 80, 260, 10 assault intercessors, 80 points each. You're probably looking at just over 500 points in that combat patrol. So that 17 models is giving you half, or almost half, of a 1,000 point army. That is a decent starting point for Warhammer 40,000. But it's still 17 models, and it is still £100 currently. It's pricey. And the fact that a combat patrol with less models is £12.50 more expensive than an Age of Sigmar combat patrol, their spearhead boxes. More models, just as beautifully detailed. Obviously, if you're into the fantasy thing, if you're into Age of Sigmar, if you're not, it's not for you. But you get the same, if not more, of a same standard product at a less price. Now, price isn't the reason that you fall in love with your army. Price isn't the reason you play Imperial Guard, especially Imperial Guard. I mean, I think a box of 10 Space Marines, where's the nearest box of 10 Space Marines? I'm going to discount Grey Knights. I mean, Blade Guard veterans, you can run them in a squad of 3 or a squad of 6. But a squad of 3 is £37 for 3 miniatures. That price is going to go up on the 6th of October. In fact, let's have a look. So £37, it's going up by 4% on average. £38.48. Do you genuinely think Games Workshop are going to charge £38.48 for that product? Absolutely not. That box is going to become, give them the benefit of the doubt, 38 quid. So it's going to go up £1. Or it's going to go 38.50, which is more like it, isn't it? That old 50p increase on there, or £1.50 increase. £1.50 isn't a lot of money. But 38.50 is a bit more when you think about it that way, isn't it? What could you do for £38.50? I know what I could do. I could buy a pair of shoes, to be honest. I just bought a new pair of shoes for 35 quid. Shoes, you know, I'm going to wear them out. They're not going to last as long as these models. And that is the other thing. These models, if you look after them, if you build them, paint them, some people varnish the models. I don't, but you will have them for as long as you want to have them. And they keep their value and you can sell them at potentially an increase, potentially the same price, but you can make a little bit back if you want to sell them in the future. So it isn't wasted money. And for the amount of time that you put into building these, that 37 quid, 38.50, whatever it's going to be, is not wasted money. Because you will enjoy the time that you spend, the time that you play, the time that you build, the paint, all of it is you're getting value for that. I'm not arguing that. I know I get value out of my stuff. But at what point is a 3-man squad expensive? Especially when you look at a 10-man squad for 40 quid. So for reference, £40 by 4%, there's no way that that's going to go up to £41.60, is it? That might be £41.50 and they take a 10% loss. It could just be 42 quid. We'll just round it up to 42 quid. We don't know because they're so vague with their approximately 4%. But 42 quid for a 10-man squad that is 80 points? Quite expensive, really, isn't it? When you look at it in that cold light of value and cost, 42 quid is a lot of money. There's a lot of people that can do a week's worth of shopping for 42 quid. And that's unfair to put Warhammer and food in the same bracket. But also, there are people who are having to make those choices. I'm trying to give you every angle. This hobby is not for people who don't have disposable income. This hobby is very expensive. If you get into it, it's very expensive to start, it's very expensive to continue, and probably a couple of months in, you're already so deep in that you just carry on. Let's have a quick look, because I've mentioned them. Let's have a look at Imperial Guard. How much is a box of Imperial Guard? So, Cadian Shock Troops, brand new, fairly new, couple of years old. Really nice sculpts, lots of accessories, lots of stuff that you can do, probably 55, 60 points, approximately. So you're going to need a lot of squads for an army, if you're going down an inventory heavy guard list. 31.50 for 10. That is going to go up by 4%, 32.76, 32.50 or 33 quid. 33 quid. That makes each one of those £3.30 a model. When you break it down like that, doesn't sound so bad, does it? And again, building, painting, playing, you will get that money back for each individual model every time you use them. And that's where they've got you. That's where every argument I can make for this being too expensive falls down. Because we love this hobby. But genuinely, how much is too much? How many price increases is too much? That's the conversation that we should be having. They're going to increase their prices on the 6th of October by approximately 4%. You know what will happen? Some people will go to third-party suppliers who sell at approximately 20% discount. There's places where you can get more, there's places that do 10%. Some third-party retailers don't do a discount, but you shop with them because of the service that you get. But this product through Warhammer is always going to increase because it always sells. their Age of Sigmar boxes that don't sell enough, it doesn't matter. We'll release a new box of Space Marine troops. And that will cover all of the cost of everything else that we've made in the last month. But where's the benefit to us? Because this 4% increase, it is just, by the email, very, very slim with information. But it is just, there's a 4% increase coming. Buy before the 6th of October to get them at today's prices through Warhammer. So, what are they going to spend that money on? Because demand is very high, but their supply is and has been for quite a while is faltering. They don't make enough boxes for big releases like Kill Team boxes, like Army boxes. They've got themselves into this very expensive FOMO idea for a lot of their armies. People keep buying it. And then the scalpers buy it because it's popular and they put 100 quid on the price. And a lot of the time it will sell because people want this stuff. What's an army box going to be? In fact, let's have a look. Space Wolves, I think, was 140 quid. So it's going to go up to 145, 60 pounds. It ain't going to be 60 pounds. It'll probably be 145 quid. The big boxes like that will probably be the ones that are just below that 4%. Because 145 quid sounds better than 146. And it's easy to put it through the till. The better transaction value for you. Or maybe they stay, but they didn't mention them staying. Because they are, I mean, some of them are really good value when you look at the price of the models. But the question I'm asking is the price of the models too much? You can go third party, you can play other games, you can play miniatures agnostic games. You can play Warhammer 40,000 in your local store with your friends using another company's models. There's so many options that you can do. You don't have to play Warhammer 40,000. You don't have to buy Warhammer products. And you don't have to buy Warhammer products from Warhammer.com or from Warhammer stores. At what point is Games Workshop going to realise that? Because right now they are riding high. I mean, 37 quid for a rule book. Basically, 37 quid for some lore on your army, maybe a painting guide, and then everything else is outdated by the time it's printed, is expensive. Isn't it? And that price is going to go up. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the books and the codexes, the battle tomes, all that stuff go up a little bit more than 4%, because, as we know, a lot of them aren't printed in the UK. So they have distribution costs to get into the UK before they can be shipped out to the wider market. But 37 quid for a codex is expensive. Bearing in mind the price of the miniatures, right? £31.50 currently for 10 Imperial Guard, which is a fraction of what you'll need points-wise for a 2,000 point army, right? But to get the rules, play that army, you have to buy a book that is £37 before you even start buying the models at a premium price. So how can they counter this price increase? Free online rules, all factions, all games, completely updated, free to access for the life of that game, that edition, whatever, that edition. Let's go with that edition. But then you don't mind paying so much for your model, do you? I wouldn't. If I had an app, if I could just load up, get rid of the emails on that. If I could take this and load up the Warhammer app, and I have all of the Battletome rules for everything in Age of Sigmar, all of the codexes for 40k, and then I can build an army. And then from building that army, I can go and buy the models that are pricey, but I've got no other barrier of entry. I've got no other outlet. I can have a look and see if I would enjoy playing an Imperial Guard army before buying anything. That's the step forward. That's the future that 11th edition, AOS 5th edition, it would be, wouldn't it? That's the direction that they need to go in if they want to keep increasing their prices. Don't know. I mean, as I've said, the too expensive direct conversation happened in my head a year ago. And it's very rare I buy anything through Warhammer stores now. Which is a shame. But I support my local third parties. My friendly local gaming stores. There's a few of them actually locally in my local area, but also online. You go online, Whaling Games, Element Games, they offer 20% off on these prices. Well, 20% off a Combat Patrol, 20 quid. That's a decent saving. That 20 quid can maybe go into, oh, I'll get a character with it as well. Makes a difference. That 20, some places 25% off, if you can get them at those prices, if your friendly local gaming store offers discounts like that. At this point, why would you not? Because Warhammer are pricing themselves out of their own market, I believe. But it doesn't matter because people will still buy directly from Warhammer. People will still buy directly from Warhammer stores. And I can't fault them for it. If that's the only way that you can get these products, if that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to spend your money, that's how you spend your money. Your money. Nobody can tell you what to do with it, other than you. Maybe your partner, depending on how much you've spent on Warhammer. But genuinely, like, if this price increase, 4%, it sounds nothing. It's not going to bother you. Fantastic. Good. That's the position that I wish everybody was in. But how many 4% increases, or approximately 4% increases, prices out a third of the market? This is a hobby. It's a want. It's not a need. It will never be a need. You can argue that it should be a need because of the mental health benefits that comes with all of this, the socializing, the building, the break from normality, the escapism from books, building, collecting, creating narrative campaigns, playing with your friends. All of that is vital, especially in this day and age, especially in a world where so much shit is constantly forced in your face through social media, through the news. So much negativity. The world evolves around negativity. For a lot of people, this is the one positive that they can always escape to and find that little bit of solace. Honestly, 4% increase on these prices to keep that solace, to keep that escapism, it's a fair trade. You can find that 4% difference, that £1.50, £2, £5 for that box that you want, you'll be able to find it. But that's not the conversation that we should be having. The conversation that we should be having is how much is too much. I'm lucky. I have a YouTube channel. Alright, it's a small one. It doesn't pay for itself yet. I haven't hit that monetized state. But I buy this stuff and I put videos out. I get extra value by bringing you videos. I did a review of Bernie Agneson, the new Votan character. Bought the model because I thought it looked cool. I bought it from a local third-party retailer. I got a discount on it of 20%. Makes a hell of a difference. And then I came home, I did a video, reviewed it. I got, people get to watch that. They get to make up their mind, see if they want to actually buy the model. They get to see the sprue, they get to see the miniature build. They get an idea of the product before they buy. Not everybody gets that. Some people just get to build and paint. Some people know exactly what they want. I'm lucky that I get extra value out of my models. But I'm also very shrewd with what I buy. And I also go to third party more often than not. Because I can't pass up on a 20% discount. And this increase just further compounds the fact that I won't be buying directly from Warhammer unless I absolutely have to. And for Warhammer, who produces this stuff, to be selling it at a fairly decent markup and continually increase their prices, I think you got to question something about the market. I'd love to know what you think. Hopefully I've given you something to think about with this video, and I hope that you don't have to choose between all of the other stuff you've got to pay for and your hobby. But there will be people that will, and I don't think they get enough spotlight in these increases. But the biggest thing that stands out to me, the most disgusting thing, is that there's been no article on Warcom explaining what this is, why this is happening, what it's for. There's no justification. This is just, we're putting our prices up on average by 4%. And it was sent out by an email on a Saturday, after a fairly disastrous pre-order. Poor communication from a company that is increasing their prices, from a company that has had the best year profit-wise, year on year on year, certainly the last 3 years, on a company whose licensing deals make them millions if not more, and they can't even communicate these things adequately. That's the biggest takeaway for me. I suppose the other upshot is, if there is anything that you want to buy through Warhammer directly, through the stores or online, buy it before the 6th of October, because prices are about to go up. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.